In this lesson, I'm going to give you some really powerful tips regarding how to navigate harmony, how to improvise over chords going between each other, especially when they're modulating. And this is also some really premium stuff that I offer in some of my courses, which I'll link below, including the Violin Harmony Handbook, Creative Strings Academy, and my boot camps that I put on from time to time. So this is in answer, in fact, to some of my students that are in the boot camp right now. So for Ava, she's working on this progression, which is E flat major 7, going to E minor 13. I'll just play a little bit over it. So in order to get to that, what I'm recommending that Ava and you practice is playing like a scale sequence where you start from the same note or nearby note each time. So in this case, we can think of the two scales just as simple major scales if we want. Would be B flat major going to D major. But I don't necessarily like to think of it that way. I just like to think about the key signature. So 2 flats going to 2 sharps. And we can take a simple pattern like this. I'll start on G, and you play after me, okay? So, and then I'll show you what it sounds like when it's accelerated. So just play after me from G. And now G again, 2 sharps. Then we go to A. You play. A again, 2 sharps. Now we go to B flat with 2 flats. You play. Then B. That's the idea. I could also take a pattern, so I'll try a pattern now. Let's try this. You play that, and then I'll go to E flat, and now E, 2 sharps. So if you hear what I do now, eventually I can put that together. And so, for example, I could do. I could do all kinds of patterns. So I'll just show you a few more again so you can see how you get from where we were in the exercise to where you actually want to get eventually. So take some more patterns. And eventually I'm going to try not to repeat so many patterns, but actually strive for like a degree of randomness, which is another way that I feel creates unpredictability or feels organic. I like to say organic, because I feel like, to me, I feel like nature is full of sequence and repetition, but it's also full of surprise and randomness. So if I improvise over this, I'm going to think about melodic randomness, but also rhythmic and all sorts of aspects of randomness. So. So, moving on to the next one here. We're going to do the same exercise, but that one was really using 2 different major scales. This one we're going to use 2 different melodic minor scales. And we're using the melodic minor scale in the sort of the jazz context. And this is a powerful way if you want to sound modern playing jazz. It's a sound, it's a certain color, a harmonic color that a lot of modern players use. And when I say modern, I mean like from 1965 to today, actually. So, but it's also a sound that you'll hear in other places, like, for example, some what people refer to as gypsy jazz, for example. You hear a lot of melodic minor. So the use of the melodic minor here is very specific. That's a D7 chord going to a G minor chord. So what we're going to use is E flat melodic minor to G melodic minor. Okay? So again, play after me, and I'll show you the voice leading exercise. So I'll start up here on B flat, and we're going to go down. So just play after me. Yeah, you play after me. A flat, and now G, F sharp on E flat melodic. That's E flat melodic minor. That's G melodic minor. And then, okay, so the same principle, but we're using melodic minor modes essentially. But we're voice leading them. And the reason I use these patterns, this isn't, I mean, I'm not playing these patterns to make a musical statement. I'm playing these patterns to internalize relationships between these different scales. And that's just one strategy and one way to internalize the harmony in general. So if I show you an example of what this might sound like eventually, again, applying the other concepts that I was using earlier. So that's the concept of practicing scale pairs in two different contexts. Now again, like I said, this is a piece of the content, but if you want to go deeper into it, definitely check out the Violin Harmony Handbook, which is below, for a resource, like a resource that you can print out, or better yet, join the Creative Strings Workshop online, which is my intensive boot camp. We've got an enrollment starting right now, and so now's a good time, or you can get in a few months when we run it again, or connect with me for the links to Creative Strings Academy, which is basically my private online studio. Hey, thanks a lot for checking out the channel. Please leave a comment and make sure you subscribe and reach out. Let's stay in touch. Happy practicing.